All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel again. Today's going to be kind of a piece together video of the new lifts going in. So you can hear all kinds of racket happening back here. I don't even know what all that is, but they've got the plastic down, got some rebar here, and I think I saw backing in, oh, concrete truck. See myself. All right, well, that's super exciting. Guys are in here fixing the door from the other day. So yeah, this video started being filmed for the May shop update video, but now we're gonna film some of this concrete. All right, well, I'm up in the roof of the shop. What I'm gonna do is set up a time lapse to video all of the concrete installation, I guess you could say. I think that'll be kind of cool. Be the first big major concrete job we've had done here for the shop. But while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. We've been really stacking on a bunch of subscribers lately, trying to close in on that 300,000 subscribers, which is just, golly, that's awesome. So, woo. Well, the truck is backing in. Got to get right back to videoing. The truck is backing in. I'm going to set up a time lapse and you guys can watch the whole thing happen. Well, this might seem like a little bit of a funny thing for us to time lapse, but for those of us in the shop, this is extremely exciting to see all of this work come together and, you know, an improvement for the shop. Because if we can improve the shop, we can improve not only the quality of the cars that we're doing, like we can improve the quality of them and improve the speed at which we get them done at, but we also can bring you guys more content because we will be working more efficiently in the shop. So some of you had said in some other videos that the concrete was too thin, the rebar work wasn't good. I forget what all the comments that were said, but when we looked it over, you know, granted we're not concrete people, but we felt like they had done a really good job with drilling in and anchoring to the old concrete with rebar. So they've got a drill that drilled into the concrete like a good foot and a half out into the original concrete pad. So there was those stakes as well as, you know, the rebar that was laid across the entire concrete pad, as well as this concrete has some kind of fiber mesh in it or something like that that's supposed to make it even better. They didn't say we'd ever have a problem with the lifts, and the lifts that they're doing, the pads that they're doing over right now, those ended up being, I believe, 12 inches deep, where they'd cut those down, and it was quite a bit deeper than the original concrete, which was 5.5, 6 inches thick through most of the pad. But we're excited to get the lifts up, but it has been a mess while all of this construction project has been going on, because there's a time frame for, you know, cutting the concrete out, pouring the concrete, and the concrete needs to dry a certain amount of times, or I guess the more accurate term would be cure. The concrete's got to cure for a minimum of 10 days before they mount the other lifts. And then even once they have mounted the lifts, we're not supposed to lift with the lifts that are in the new concrete for, I think, something like 30 days. So we will have 2 lifts that we'll be able to use, you know, where the Donnie's car and Grant's Corvette are right now. When the lift goes in there, which you'll see here in a little bit, that lift will be functional because that's in old concrete, and the lift that's going to be at the bottom left of the screen here. All right, so I'm upstairs at the shop above the office. Gonna kind of give you guys a time lapse of all the lifts going in. It's kind of exciting for us to document all this stuff. Maybe you enjoy this too. Seems like a lot of you guys like the shop update videos and everything that's going on there. So like I said, I'm gonna time lapse this. All the lifts are going in right after we got the cutlass down, because so like I said in the first cutlass video, we had to move the cutlass to be able to put the lift up. So it's going to be musical cars, and we're going to be working as best we can on getting everything taken care of while we're still working on cars in the shop while they're putting the lifts up. It's part of owning a shop, but this is going to be such a huge upgrade for the shop. And yeah, we are so excited to get all this taken care of and have 4 functioning lifts in the main shop area. So exciting stuff. So here we go. All right, so now you can see we've moved on to installing the lifts and a different crew that obviously we had to schedule in. And with the Indianapolis trip, scheduling around that, as well as the concrete hardening time, and just scheduling the crew itself, because they have a schedule that they're trying to keep. So they were able to kind of sneak us into the schedule, which was awesome on their part. And, you know, it made it to where we were able to not have too much interruption, which you can see we're still working on Donnie's car while this is going on. And I've got another car back on the dyno that we're doing some work on it, as well as rearranging some things in the dyno room to help out Grant's area back there where he rents the edge of the shop from, or the back corner of the shop. So the first of the BendPak lifts is going up, and the good thing about this lift is it is in the old concrete, so we'll be able to wire it right back up again and have at least one functioning lift. And while the other ones, at least right here in front of the camera, that one will have to wait a little bit before we can actually use it. And also the one where Donnie's Mustang is sitting right now, that'll have to wait a little while that pad cures. But if you look real close at the pad that's at the bottom of the screen here, you can see some lighter areas where we came back and had the concrete guys actually skim the pad area where the scale pads are going to sit. Once they had laid the main concrete area, there ended up being about 1/8 of an inch of being out of level, you know, where we had kind of wanted it to be like perfectly level. So we told them about it. They came back and had some special stuff that they could use, some kind of real thin skim that they could use to balance it and get it perfectly level. So those lighter colored pad areas, which there's some under the cardboard box here and also one out of camera, but measuring those now with a laser level that I have, they're within about 1 millimeter of each other. And that's pretty doggone good. So that'll let us do the setup stuff that we need to do and not have to worry about shimming the scale pads, you know, every time we go to set up a car, because shimming the scale pads took a little bit of time, and now we don't have to do that. So we do plan to paint the rest of the floor here. I just got to find us some, see if I can find some paint like I used on the other side of the floor, which it doesn't seem like it's really weathered much because it looks good. You know, the floor's painted where you can see it there. But under the lift pads, where the old lift was, it's a totally different color, like a whole lot lighter. And just, you can definitely tell where the concrete has aged, or the paint on the concrete has aged just from working on it, walking on it, and, you know, dropping things on it and getting it stained. And it is what it is. So it might look a little funny for a while with new paint on one side of the shop and old paint on the other, but, you know, it is what it is. And it'll make it a little bit nicer for cleaning up when it's painted. At least I feel like it does. And it's less dusty when you're rolling around on it. And we mop the floors from time to time. So it's just a nicer area to work in. But you can kind of see the guys have been going to town on that first lift there, doing all the stuff you got to do with drilling into the concrete and installing the anchors, standing them up, getting them positioned just right. So these BendPak lifts do go higher than what our old lifts were. So that would be kind of nice. That sometimes, at least for Drew's taller than I am. He was a little cramped under the old lift setup. But we won't have to deal with that now. But so I do realize this video is a little different than our normal video because it's mostly other people doing work in the shop. But I kind of thought of it from the perspective of, you know, being able to look back and watch this upgrade to the shop, you know, 5-10 years from now. Thought it would be cool for us to see, and hopefully as the channel grows, you know, people will be able to go back and watch and see when we, you know, upgraded the shop to the new lifts. And hopefully, you know, we might just have a new shop to be moving into at some point. You know, if we keep growing both the shop and the YouTube channel, this shop is just simply not going to be big enough. And we do have the idea of hiring some more people and, you know, continuing to grow the builds in the shop. And, you know, that's just part of owning a business. At least for me, I always want to try and continue to grow, both in the quality of work that we're doing, but also in, you know, the size of the shop and the quantity of jobs that we're doing. You know, maybe that thought process may change as years go on, but I feel like there's a lot of people that would like us to do work for them. So if we can provide that work and grow the shop and grow the business, well, that's going to be a good thing. So you can see we kind of did some measuring here in this position for where we're going to put this other lift, and kind of use the Cutlass as the guide for that, because it's probably going to be where the Cutlass lives for a while. And we will give you guys kind of an update on the Cutlass, like the state of the Cutlass in its, you know, its current state, which I guess that kind of goes a little bit of a redundant comment there, but, you know, show you guys what we're going to do, at least the plan, because the car already does have a bunch of work done to it, but some of that work needs to be redone because I did it 15 years ago and my skill set has improved since then, and I don't want to have, you know, an old looking build with the skill set and the capabilities that we have now. So there will be a little bit of time where we go backwards on the car, and then that'll get turned into going forward and hopefully getting the thing on the road, you know, later this year. So on this particular lift installation, they didn't have the full crew. This is actually a day or two after the first lift went in. So you'll see CJ and myself helping from time to time, but this guy here, he pretty much got the lift in almost the same amount of time as the other lift when there was 3 of them. So the other lift did have, you know, a little bit more positioning. We were trying to figure out how which width we wanted to install the lift at, because there are a couple of different configurations that you can install the lift depending on what you need it for. You know, if you need it for small, medium, or large vehicles, you can actually tailor the width more to match those. So over there, we kind of had to figure that out and mock it up a couple of times and, you know, get a general feel for how we wanted to do it. But we did already have that figured out on this lift. So that did contribute to this one going in a little bit faster, but 1 guy versus 3 guys, and the single guy almost got it done as fast as the 3 guys. This guy was definitely a hustler. All right, well, as you saw in the time lapse, or the multiple time lapses, time lapse I, time lapses, we've got another lift up, as well as this one, which is now wired and functional. We've got Donnie's car back in it while I am under the hood starting on the wiring project, because hopefully we're cranking by next week. Got the injector harness done too. You can see we've got a firewall plug back there. Working on the coil harness there. And what else is new since the last time you guys saw this? Oh yeah, the bumper bracket. So it's bumper bracket, hitch. Set that out and had it powder coated. All that stuff's ready to go. Lots of stuff that you can't really see, like the throttle cable is installed. Transmission cooler's in, which I guess we could show that. Transmission cooler hiding up there in the front. The rail with 2 fans on it. Working on, we've got our relay board that is going to control the water pump and all of the fans. And it's actually going to be coil power and injector power right there on that little small relay board. Because the computer is actually going to be mounted back here in the back, so that all of the interior is pretty much stock. You know, the stock Cobra seats, carpet, all the dash has the AC stuff behind it, because Donnie's going to be getting his AC stuff worked out. So yeah, all that makes it a lot more difficult to mount the ECU somewhere because not only do we have an ECU, we have the EGT box, as well as a box to communicate for the dash. Like the Holly plugs into this box that then communicates to the dash. It's got a decoded digital. I think it's a decoded digital dash. We'll show you that more next week when we get back to it. But this is the Cutlass's lift. I'm calling it now. This is where the Cutlass lives. We'll actually be raising it up and maybe getting that Black Viper out next week. Maybe. The shock guy came out of hibernation and contacted me after disappearing for 6 months, but we don't have him back yet. Boy, I'll tell you what, part of business is dealing with other people, and we sent those shocks off in November of 2020. Still don't have them back. And they're expensive shocks too, and I can't just afford to go out and buy another set of $12,000 shocks for the car, and Lee doesn't want to either. But that's that. New lift going up. Next week there'll be a couple more. I'll probably just show you guys that once it's finished, so that way you'll see kind of the completed deal. Oh, one more thing. CJ's wiring rack's all done up there, and we actually see a spot to be able to add some more. So Tefsol stuff is all over here. Got room for a few more Tefsol rolls, and then we're gonna make another axle, maybe two. Maybe one here, one there, to be able to hang more rolls of the non-Tefsol wire. This is kind of just like standard. It's good wire, but it's not like the high quality like Tefsol wire that is really, really nice. TEFZEL. I think that's how you spell it. Check that stuff out because it is really, really good wire. That's gonna wrap up this video. Appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. Be bringing you guys more and more content. I've been on a pretty good roll here lately of a video every 2 to 3 days. And thank you to everybody that's watching. Appreciate everybody subscribing and following along. See you guys next time.